Hello, welcome.
Welcome.
This
This
is
is
actually the
actually the
Monday
Monday
edition
edition
of
of
Vision
Vision
Sport
Sport
360,
360,
and
and
I'm
I'm
your
your
host,
host,
Austin
Austin
Arome,
Arome,
here
here
to
to
take you
take you
through
through
the
the
ever
ever
exciting
exciting
world
world
of
of
sports.
sports.
And we
We
have
have
quite a
quite a
lot
lot
lined
lined
up
up
for
for
you
you
today
today
on
on
the
the
show,
show
Vision
Vision
Sport
Sport
360.
360.
We'll be looking at the four teams that will be playing at the African Cup of Nations semi-finals. Now we have our semi-finalists: Nigeria, South Africa, DR Congo, and the host nation, Ivory Coast. And then we take you to league football, where it's actually heating up. We are already at the business end of the football league in Europe, in England, in the Italian Serie A, and the Spanish La Liga. This is where it's hotting up at the moment. It's actually quite enticing and interesting because in most of these leagues, you still can't actually pinpoint where the pendulum is going to swing. So we'll talk about that. We also have to look at what's happening in the NBA. Steph Curry, scoring high, but they're not able to help his team against the Atlanta Hawks yesterday. And we'll also give you some other results coming from the NBA. And then we'll take a look at the top five teams in each of the conferences. So it's actually very, very interesting as far as the NBA is concerned. We also have to look at the Davis Cup. Slovakia, surprising results. They defeated, the Serbia to move to the next round of the Davis Cup, that in tennis. All this and more we're going to talk about when we come back from the short break. All right, welcome back. Another interesting time here on WTV, the Vision Sport 360. Now let's take a look at the teams that will be playing at the African Cup of Nations semi-finals. I think the last time we were here, Nigeria, it was the day Nigeria played against Angola. Nigeria defeated Angola by a lone goal, courtesy of that goal from Ademola Lukman. And now we have a semi-finalist. We have Nigeria that will be taking on South Africa. We have Ivory Coast against Democratic Republic of Congo. And looking at how this team actually panned out, Ivory Coast and Nigeria, as a matter of fact, are from the same group. They qualified from the same group. Ivory Coast qualified as the best loser, which makes them one of the most dangerous teams in the tournament because you look at event past, you look at what has happened in the past in football. You have to look at I think Euro 2017 or thereabout, where at Euro 2016, where Portugal qualified as the best loser from the group and then ended up becoming champion. Is that what's going to happen at the African Cup of Nations? That will have to wait till the final of the event. But for now, we have Nigeria playing South Africa next as far as the African Cup of Nations is concerned. So looking at this, both teams are talking tough. You have the coach of the coach of the South African side, Hugo Broos, who actually has expressed his desire to play in the final of the 2023 African Cup of Nations. The Bafana will confirm the Super Eagles of Nigeria at the Stade Paris Bouquet. This is on Wednesday night. So on Wednesday night, definitely we're going to be here to talk about Nigeria against South Africa. So Hugo Broos, as a matter of fact, has led Cameroon to victory at the 2017 edition of the African Cup of Nations. So this is not the first time he will be aiming to reach the final. He has done it before, and probably for South Africa is looking at if he can actually do it again for South Africa. So far, so good. They're on the right track, but then they're playing against a defensive resistant team. The Super Eagles are so defensive conscious, they are so disciplined, and so far so good. They've conceded just one goal, and the same thing with the South Africans, which leads us to the battle of the goalkeepers. You look at the battle of the goalkeepers. You look at the Nigerian goalkeepers, Nwabali, Stanley Nwabali, and the South African goalkeeper Roland Williams, who saved 4 penalties against the DR Congo when against Cape Verde rather, when they met at the quarter-final stages of the competition. And you look at how these goalkeepers come into the tournament. South Africa, Roland Williams, home base, you will call him, he's playing for Mamelodi Sundowns in South Africa, and Nwabali, a Nigerian goalkeeper. The fact that he's playing for Nigeria, it means that he is no longer a home-based player. He's an international, foreign base, so to say. But then he plays with Chippa United in South Africa. And so far, so good. They are the top best teams according to what we have on our table. They've kept 4 clean sheets each as far as the African Cup of Nations is concerned. And you look at, the record going into this game, you see that, this is a battle of 2 South African League goalkeepers. And looking at the top scorer, you have Emilio Nsue, as you can see right there on the screen. Emilio Nsue scoring a total of 5 goals, is the top scorer so far. And then we have, quite 2 people, I think 2 players with 4 goals as far as the African Cup of Nations is concerned. We have Gelson Dala of Angola, and we have Mustafa Mohamed. And then moving on, players with 3 goals, we have Nigeria's Ademola Lukman, we have Algeria's Baghdad Boneja. Then we also have Guinea's Mohamed Bayo and Mali's Sinayoko. We have Burkina Faso Bertrand Traore and Angola's Mbulu Ponciesia. These are the players with 4 goals, 3 goals rather, as far as the African Cup of Nations is concerned. And then we'll look at players who have 2 goals. We have Jordan Ayew of Ghana, South African Temba Zwane. We have Senegal's Lamine Camara. We have Cape Verde's Mendes de Garcia, and Ghana's Mohamed Kudus. And looking at this one, we'll also have to look at the records, head-to-head records in recent times. The Super Eagles, they've edged South Africa. A lot of people will say Nigeria will have the edge going into this one, courtesy of the fact that, if you look at the recent matches, last time these two were involved in an African Cup of Nations match, I think it was in 2019 in Egypt, quarter-final games where Nigeria defeated South Africa by 2-1, and you have to go back to as far back as 2000, where Nigeria and Ghana actually had a joint bid, and Nigeria and Ghana hosted the African Cup of Nations in year 2000. Nigeria and South Africa played in the semi-finals of the African Cup of Nations, and Nigeria won 2-0. And looking at this, I think Nigeria, over time, they're beating South Africa every time we get to play the African Cup. Most of the time, not every time, most of the time. So Nigeria will be going into this game full of confidence, believing that they can win. Also looking at their performance at the ongoing African Cup of Nations, Nigeria shutting out teams, and South Africa as well. It's pretty much the same team, but Nigeria will look at it, the fact that they have more quality and more experienced players than the South Africans. The South Africans, for me, are the surprise package of the competition, looking at how they came into the tournament. In their first 11, the first 11 of the South African team, they have 8 home-based players, which tells you about the quality of a South African league. We hope that Nigeria can actually develop a league and we'll get to that particular stage. For now, we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll look to continue on the show, Vision Sport 360. Welcome back to the show, Vision Sport 360 on WTV. Looking at, we still, have to do a little bit on the Nigerian versus South African match. And this time, we're looking at it from the entertainment point of view as Nigeria superstar singer Tenny has urged the Super Eagles of Nigeria to actually, should I call it a revenge? Should actually avenge Nigeria's Grammy loss to South Africa's Tyler Waters. You look at what happened yesterday at the Grammy, where Nigeria had the likes of Ara Stars, Nigeria had Davido, Burna Boy in the mix, Ashake as well. But then with all the dominance that Nigeria have in this Afrobeat category, only one nominated singer from South Africa, which is Walter Tyler, actually won the category for Afrobeat as far as the Grammy Award is concerned. And Tenny, Nigerian singer, is urging Arna Lukman, the likes of Victor Osimhen, the likes of Alex Iwobi, to actually avenge this loss to South Africa, by beating South Africa at the African Cup of Nations. Now, moving on this time to Europe. This time around, we'll be talking football at the English Premier League, where Arsenal yesterday put their title run back on track by beating Liverpool by 3-1. So last season, Arsenal had, I should say, a fantastic season leading on to the last few games of the season, and they capitulated, and they failed to win the title. And Manchester City won the title last season, and this season made a couple of additions. Brought in the likes of Declan Rice, brought in Raya from Brentford. I think they brought in Justin Timber from Netherlands. So all the additions they've made so far this season, it seems like it's beginning to pay off. They've closed the gap now on Liverpool from 5 points to 2 points, which means that we have a title race on our hands. Manchester City will be playing their own game tonight to see if they can also close the gap to 2 points, between them and Liverpool. So it's actually going to be an interesting one. Will Liverpool actually survive this onslaught that is coming behind them, most especially from Manchester City, who have played 21 games so far this season, and they have 46 points. You look at the table right there. If they win tonight's game, they're going to close the gap to 2 points with a game in hand. And if they get to win that game in hand, it means that we have Manchester City at the top of the Premier League table. And one thing that we know from Manchester City, every point of the season, this is the point where they get to pick up. They can go 11 games, 12 games unbeaten, and we have just 15 games left to finish the season. It's the season where we have a winner for the first time winning 4 successive Premier League titles. This is what Manchester City are aiming for. Will they be able to do that? Will Liverpool be able to hold on to the marginal lead that they have over Arsenal and Manchester City? All is going to depend on Manchester City at this particular point in time. If they can actually drop points in tonight's game or even the outstanding game, it means that Liverpool will hold on to that lead pending when there's actually a change or a shift in what's going to happen in the league. Let's look at other results from the English Premier League. We have Bournemouth against Nottingham Forest. The match ended 1-1. We have Wolverhampton Wanderers beating Chelsea at the Stamford Bridge by 4-2. Chelsea losing back-to-back games in the English Premier League. We have Manchester United beating West Ham United by 3-0. Arsenal defeated Liverpool. We talked about it earlier. 3-1 at the Emirates Stadium. For Everton, Tottenham Hotspur, it was a 2-2 draw at Goodison Park. Brighton and Hove Albion returning to winning ways after they got pummeled they got pummeled last week against Aston Villa, and then we have Brighton beating Crystal Palace by 4-1. Burnley playing a 2-2 draw against Fulham, and then we have Newcastle United and Luton playing out a 4 4 draw against, a 4-all draw between Newcastle and Luton Town. Luton Town scoring 4 consecutive, I think 4 goals for consecutive matches. And for Aston Villa, they defeated Sheffield United by 5 goals to nothing, after they got pummeled by Newcastle United last week. They came back to winning ways, beating Sheffield United by 5 goals to nothing. Now let's move on to the next league, and this time around we're looking at the Spanish La Liga. This is actually where we have another round of drama. Look at what's happening in the Spanish La Liga. Real Madrid, holding that slim marginal 1-point lead over, Girona. Girona actually had that opportunity to leapfrog Real Madrid yesterday if they can actually beat Real Sociedad, but that match ended goalless. And Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid played last night, and it was a 1-all draw between these two sides, which means that Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid is becoming more like a derby than Barcelona against Real Madrid. If you look at the results we've seen recently, before last weekend when they had played the Copa del Rey, Real Madrid beat Atletico, I think, beat Atletico at the Spanish Super Cup in Saudi Arabia. Then Atletico Madrid beat Real Madrid, their first leg of the league game. And then you look at the what happened in the Copa del Rey, where Atletico Madrid also defeated Real Madrid by 4 goals to 2. And yesterday's game is, playing at the Santiago Bernabeu. You expect Real Madrid to beat Atletico Madrid, but that didn't happen yesterday, as Correa was able to secure a 1-all draw for Atletico Madrid against Real Madrid. Let's look at other results from Spanish La Liga. It's Villarreal that played out a goalless draw against Cadiz. Osasuna lost to Celta Vigo 3-0. Celta Vigo, for me, it's one of those teams that are so mean, they are so serious about escaping that relegation fight. We talked about them earlier, I think, in one of our shows, right here, that this is one team that every point in one season, or I think from 2021, 2022, 2023, they are always in that relegation fight. But at the end of the day, they look for a way, or they always have a way of escaping that relegation fight. And this is what they are doing right now, picking Osasuna away from home by 3 goals to nothing. Real Betis played out a 1-all draw against Getafe. Valencia beat Almeria 2 goals to 1. Granada against Las Palmas, and then 1-all. Now Alaves were defeated by FC Barcelona by 3 goals to 1. Barcelona returning to winning ways, and Girona, with that opportunity to leapfrog Real Madrid, played out a 0-0 draw against Real Sociedad. And on Friday, it was Athletic Bilbao beating Mallorca by 4 goals to nothing. Moving on to the Italian Serie A, let's look at the results from the Italian Serie A, where we have Torino playing out a goalless draw against Salernitana. We have Napoli beating Hellas Verona by 2 goals to 1. Atlanta, without Ademola Lookman, still doing their thing, beat Lazio by 3 goals to 1. Inter Milan beat fellow title chaser Juventus by 1 goal to nothing. And we have Empoli playing out a goalless draw against Genoa. We have Udinese against Monza that ended goalless. We have Firenze losing at home to AC Milan. We have Bologna beating Sassuolo by 4 goals to 2. We have Lecce beating Fiorentina by 3 goals to 2. So interesting results are coming from all these leagues, and it's actually quite exciting what's happening in Europe this season. We are just about 15 games away from the end of the season, and the league is still tight. You don't actually know who's going to win the league at the end of the day in the Italian Serie A, in the English Premier League, and in the Spanish La Liga. And the surprising aspect of it all is in the Spanish La Liga, where we have a team gaining promotion for the first time into the Spanish La Liga, battling it out with a perennial league winner like Real Madrid. So it's actually very interesting, and we're looking forward to who will win the league eventually at the end of the season. It's at this point we'll go on another short break. When we come back, we still have more on Vision Sport 360. Welcome back to the show. And this time around, we're switching gears. We're talking NBA right now, where Steph Curry scored a 60 points for only the second time in his NBA career, but he was unable to help his team, the Golden State Warriors, escape defeat against Atlanta Hawks. It was a 141 to 134 overtime win for the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawks, Jude Murray scored from 14 feet with 44.6 seconds left in the tie game, with the game tied at 123 each in the regulation time. Curry, who registered a 62 against Portland Trail Blazers in 2021, scored 8 points in overtime in a vein. Meanwhile, switching to the other game where LeBron James scored 24 points to help Los Angeles Lakers beat New York Knicks 113 to 105 points. James, who posted an hourglass on social media on 21st of January, raised speculation he could be traded before Thursday deadline. The 9-year-old missed a win against the Boston Celtics because of an ankle injury before his agent told reporters that his client will not be traded. And also looking at some other results coming from the NBA, where the teams are doing export. Let's look at the other results are coming from the NBA, where the Boston Celtics were in action yesterday, and it was quite an emphatic win for them. Boston Celtics on the results sheet beating the New York Knicks in the NBA games yesterday. So it was like an interesting one from the NBA in United States right there. And before we wrap up on the show today, let's look at tennis, where Slovakia provided the biggest shock of the Davis Cup qualifiers as they knocked out 2023 semi-finalist Serbia. And you look at France, Czech Republic, Belgium, Canada, Germany, Netherlands, USA, Finland, Argentina, Chile, and Brazil all booked their place in the competition group stage. This as they join this year's winner, Italy, and 2023 runners-up Germany and Netherlands, all to the next round of the Davis Cup competition. The competition will conclude in November with the final 8 and quarterfinals, semi-finals, and final in Malaga. Slovakia dropped out to Serbia, missing 24-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic, winning all 4 matches contested on the indoor clay to reach the group stage of the new format for the very first time. So congratulations to Slovakia beating the Serbian side, who were without Novak Djokovic. And this is where we wrap it up on today's edition of Vision Sport 360. I want to thank our producer, I want to thank Kefas for doing a very wonderful job behind the scene. And to you, our viewers, I say thank you for watching. I'm Austin Arome, and bye for now.